All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live stream. This is Get to Know a Music Person, and today we have on Rob MacMillan. I only know him through a few things, so it's going to be a good time. Hopefully, I get to know a few things. And first of all, today is Saturday. It's a beautiful day out. It's June 20th. I'm Stephen Hartman. This is Rob MacMillan. How's it going, Rob?
This is fantastic.
Well, that's great. I just turned your volume up, so you're happy to be here. Perfect. If people have questions during this stream, then they can go on to chat if they have questions for Rob. If David comes on, he'll probably sass you. That's just how it works.
Oh yeah, I know. It's retribution.
That's how it works.
I threw a couple of bad ones at him.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's supposed to be how it works. He actually wants to bring on like the whole trombone section. Anyhow, so I know Rob. I've gotten to know him a bit just mainly through the big band, right? Like that's how.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so this is for me to get to know you, and that's what this whole thing is about. Because I don't know, I only know like a surface level for a lot of people, and other people watching this might only know that same kind of thing. Like, I noticed you have a Canada Post water bottle, and some people might not be aware of some of these things. So, yeah. So we're just gonna go through all the things that Rob does for music, like how he came through music and who he is as a music guy. So, how are you doing anyway this fine Saturday, Rob? How's it going?
Well, I'm doing good. Oh, by the way, I want to say first of all that I think this is a wonderful format. I've really enjoyed you introducing all these people and getting to know people from all different aspects of music locally. This is great. I think it's wonderful that you're doing this.
Well, and it was something I wanted to do before, but I think the current situation has allowed it a bit more. Also, I think it's in my brain, it's valuable for musicians because right now they don't have their audience to have something like, so, talk about who they are, get a little more intimate. So anyhow, thanks for that, Rob.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that mic's, I think your other mic's picking up right now. I don't think that mic's picking up.
Let's try that.
There we go. See, now
wow,
it's intimate,
technology.
Rob. Now you get
technology.
Now you get like the nice tightness close, Rob. Perfect.
Dulcet tones.
Perfect. Okay, so let's just start out like tell us a bit about yourself, Rob. What you do with music. Where you've played before this whole plague, whatever came through. Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. So locally, like you were saying, the big band is one of my big forums right now at this point for performing. And what a blessing! I really have to thank Dennis Rizenak for doing that. That was amazing. I had bothered Dennis many years and saying, "Hey, Dennis, if you're ever doing anything, I'd be interested." And all of a sudden, out of the blue, he calls and says, "Hey, I'm thinking of starting a big band." And I said, "What?" And he says, yeah. And then when I walk in the first day and see who's all there, I think, oh, this is gonna be fun. Oh yeah. And it has been. It's been great, yeah, I've really enjoyed that group. It's getting to do some really juicy stuff. And
yeah, and how long have you been playing with them? Like since its inception?
Yeah.
When did that start? I have no idea when it started.
I'm thinking 5 years ago.
5 years ago? Okay.
Maybe 4. I don't have a date.
Okay.
I can't think of it right now. I just remember we met in May of that year. That first we just got together that first year, and It was in May, and then we did the fundraiser at the Bailey.
Okay.
And oh boy, the crowd was just like, they were so hyped. It was like being being like at a middle-aged rock concert, because they were just hooting and hollering. Even we were getting started, it was cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's music that I like the music, but it's just, you don't hear it that much anymore. Really. Yeah. Especially in, a smaller town. This area is kind of interesting for that sort of thing.
Well, that's just it. I mean, I think it's kind of neat to have a band of this format that's not in a major center.
Right. Well, and the caliber of musicians that are in it too. You're just like, oh, okay. Like Dennis, The first time I saw him, I'm like, he just knows what he's doing. Okay, let him do his thing.
Oh yeah,
So,
and his history, right? I mean,
yeah,
he
yeah,
was one of his profs was writing in California, was writing music for TV shows and stuff like
right,
that.
yeah,
You know, so he's got quite a depth of background with all that. It's wonderful.
right. Well, and it's such a neat band because I mean, me being, I guess, considered, well, not anymore because there's all the university students who have been, or even high school students this past season, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's like I literally play, like I'm playing bass. My high school band teacher's on one side, my junior high band teacher's on the other side. So it's just kind of like, okay, it's kind of funny that way. But it's a
Oh
fun
yeah.
group. But yeah,
Oh yeah, and I mean, like we still have fun, but we can get serious about working this stuff
right.
out, you know, too.
Well, yeah, we don't want to. With the skill and talent, you also want to make sure it comes across that way, rather than just being like yahoos and like, oh, here's a song. Like, there's some
Yeah.
charts. I'd like to be a little more complicated with some of the charts because it'd be more fun. But you know, for we don't rehearse that much when we were rehearsing. We just like, there we go. Because what we were doing, we weren't doing crazy difficult charts, right?
No, I think Sandra was saying they're more like I think what she was saying, they're like grade 2 charts or whatever, maybe
Right.
grade 3, you know. And I mean, if we wanted to play stuff, like I think that one Christmas one with the good one, that, I mean, I think that would be a bit tougher, but
Yeah.
because I've heard that band do that chart.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, so
Well, and there's like,
yeah.
and some of that stuff, your ear has to be ready for some of the sounds you're going to hear. Like some of those, there's some really interesting stuff you can play, but at the same time, will people dance to it? I guess is the complaint.
Yeah, and I mean that's been the hard thing, is even when we've done dances, is people you know, don't necessarily don't get up and dance all the time, but
Right.
anyway, we'll work on that too.
Well, maybe the band just has to dance while we're playing or something.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
well yeah, that could be fun, maybe. I don't know.
So, Rob, you play what in the big band?
I play lead trombone,
Okay.
and yeah,
And how long have you been playing trombone?
well, trombone since I was 15, so
You don't have to say how long ago that was. It's fine.
that's been it's okay, but we can say it's been over 4 decades. So yeah, there was a time, and there was a period in between, though, where there was a dry spell for quite a while. And as we go through my little history, I can explain why that was. Sure. But yeah, I have a little. But just to talk about some of the other things I do in town here, sure. I sing with the Camerata.
Yep. And that's
which is
Joanne Murphy.
Yes, yes, and I've been with that group since 2002.
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah, I was actually like in university. She's my voice teacher. So
yeah,
that's a long time ago. Okay.
Yeah, but, and when I first came to town, I think the first year I went to the music festival and heard these guys, and I thought, oh my goodness! And my wife just, after they did their first song, just leaned over and said, "Do you want to sing with these guys?" And I said, oh yeah. And I went up to Joyanne afterwards and introduced myself, and she said right away, "Oh, you're a tenor, right?" Just from my speaking voice. Yeah. And I said yes, and she went, "Oh, yeah, yes, I want you." You know.
Yeah, it's funny because like when I was in the Augustana choir, it was like basses were easy to find, but like tenors, natural tenors.
No. Yeah, yeah, that's just it.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, I think they had a couple of, Daryl and I think Lowell, who are both baritones. I mean, Lowell can even, he can get some super low notes. Yeah. They were both singing some tenor. Yeah. So that must have been really a little tough on them, you know?
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. So I know that group has done some interesting literature, and
she pulls out some. It seems challenging stuff. Some years.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've seen her sometimes as I walk my dog because they're at the garden at the United Church, and chatting me up, seeing if I want to join the choir. So
Yeah.
but it's like at this point we don't know when choirs will go again. So
Sure. Oh no, I mean that's tough. But yeah. Now, when you speak about choir and church, another thing I'm doing, and Myra mentioned it too, was when she was on, is that I'm active in my church choir. My wife and I are both like, we're kind of the music directors for the church, and at this point with COVID, we are the music. That's it, because we're doing YouTube videos right now,
Right.
and a very low audience. I mean, we have our preacher, we have someone doing the readings, we have someone doing prayers. So my wife on keyboards, and I'm singing, and the videographer, and that is it.
Right. And that's like, do you pre-record it then, like on a
Yes,
separate day?
yes. So we have been pre-recording usually Friday afternoon. We had to do one Saturday morning last week, but now there's talk that we're going to maybe go Sunday live and have a small congregation. So it'd have to be like some people whoever wants to. I don't think everyone is feeling comfortable coming back yet, but we'd have it with the distancing and stuff. We'd probably have a small congregation there. We'll see.
And which church is that you attend?
That's the Anglican.
Anglican, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I was just like with Resurrection Lutheran Church, I go there, and they've been pre-recording Thursdays. They get some of the groups who've been doing music have recorded from their own home, so they send it in. I think this Sunday they're trying to do 2 services, but you have to kind of call ahead to make so they can,
Yeah.
I mean, it's good that churches are meeting again. It's going to be a challenge probably for a long time, especially if there's either smaller rooms where you have a larger congregation or just larger congregations, period. So. Yeah,
because with the singing aspect, I mean, I understand with the singing. I mean, it's just the plume that they keep talking about. Yeah. But what if people were humming? I mean, like that would, if like I at least that way they would feel that they were participating, and right. I don't think they would be affecting.
Right.
There wouldn't be that kind of projection.
Well, and I did find. Let me just find that out. There was I had the Alberta COVID singing. I was looking this up just to see because there are some rules for this, and I don't it's like you can't sing apparently, but or you can, but it's not. What is it? High risk activity because infected people can transmit the virus through their saliva or respiratory droplets, meaning you're probably singing moistly, as the word is these days.
Yes.
Congregational singing is strongly discouraged. Consider a soloist or instrumental music instead. That's what they're saying.
Yep.
Yeah. And I do understand, though, because they say gatherings include singing, ideally so small groups, should take as many of the following precautions as possible. Keep singers completely separated from the audience. And so I was doing sound on Thursday at Fika Coffee House. And, we had the distance between, it was outside, too. Outside helps a lot because there's the fresh air movement, but we had people separated. Limit the number of people singing as few as possible. So you could essentially at church just say, if you have issues, ear issues, just don't sing. If you can't hear the pitch, don't sing. Yeah. So we have good harmonies. Have people facing away from each other, so you could have people facing different ways. But then I think you mentioned when we talked earlier, the plexiglass, right? Like having a plexiglass barrier. Yeah. Singers wearing face masks, which you can't breathe.
No, well, and it's hard enough to when you're singing sometimes to get your diction in there. So with the mask, that would muffle it even more, right? So
I was actually surprised because Leslie, who I interviewed last week, she was singing at Fika and she had a mask on and it was fine, but she took it off after a while because it was just like she couldn't breathe. And I didn't notice much of a difference. It was kind of impressive. Through the microphone, there wasn't much of a difference.
Okay, good.
But I mean, I guess over in a bigger space, if you're singing acoustically, no amplification, then it might be a little different.
Yeah,
because your sound's being stuck.
Yeah.
So with a lot of those masks, nothing gets through. So.
Yeah.
But she described it as kind of stressful because you're not free and open to just do your thing, and singing is about that. I think I like singing. I sometimes forget I'm singing when I'm like walking around and people might hear me singing things. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at work. At work I do that sometimes. Like I'm humming away, like I'm working my latest jazz tune in my head, and doing and trying to put riffs in there and that type of thing, and see what'll work. And I never get anybody saying, like, dude, what's going on with you?
Well, it depends, like, especially if you're singing harmonies or something, they're like, that's an alto harmony. That's boring. Why are you just singing one note forever?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you sing with the Camerata, which hopefully that gets meeting again. Did you also sing? I think you mentioned something about Augustana. Did you sing with like Monscore or anything, whatever?
No. The only thing I did with Augustana was that the Carmina Burana, and that's when they invited people from the community to come in. So
okay.
Yeah. So we had some people from Camerata that came in and joined the chorus.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did you do? So I noticed on your Facebook profile you were retired from something. Was it teaching?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yes, yes, I was a junior, senior high school band teacher, music teacher.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was in Red Deer, and then Olds, and then I started a program in Kit Scotty.
Okay.
And then that was neat to walk in and start something, because everything you tell them is you don't get such and such doesn't do it this way. My predecessor, I found out, had to deal with that when I left, and then I went to Vermilion.
Okay. Yeah.
And when I was in Vermilion, I was at the high school there, and then got involved in a virtual school. And when we were at my wife and I were both teaching with the virtual school.
Okay.
And that's when we moved to Camrose. So we didn't have to change jobs. We just changed locations.
Nice. That's handy.
That was really nice.
Nice.
And we moved to Camrose because we wanted to give our kids some more opportunities. Plus we thought it'd be a better place for us to retire. And Bob and Tom were two very good reasons to come here.
I mean, they've created a crazy music program, and it's like Tom, man.
Yeah.
I sent a message out to him. Hopefully, I can have him on something like this. I'd love to have him on, and Bob too.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes. But yeah, they're both. I mean, this community just in general, I think the arts is pretty intense. Like, there's a good, decent arts community here. I love it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so then you moved here, and just to keep you busy, went to Canada Post. Then you're just like, I need to do something.
Yes, and I need to make a little more coin too.
Everybody does.
but it's good. Well, I was just trying to build up as many revenue streams as possible. So I was subbing.
Okay. Yeah.
But it basically came down to subbing for Bob most of the time. When he so there would be like music convention. There would be when he would go away on his band trips, and music festival around that time. I was so there'd be a few days, but not a lot. And then I was doing some music clinics. So I got in with Russ Chevalier's the Wind Shop. He did a lot. So going up to Camp Nakaman, which is about an hour north of Edmonton, and also with Alberta College.
Okay.
So I had all those going on, and these were all things that I could say no to.
Right.
And then I ran into a friend of mine. One morning I was walking I had to do something at the bank, and then I walked across that big public parking lot there behind the post office, and there's a buddy of mine that I know from soccer, and he's on a break, and so we're talking away, and I told him what I'm looking for. He says, well, why don't you go casual here? And I said, what's that like? And he tells me, I was like, yeah, okay. So I've been with them for 5 years now.
Okay.
and having the luxury of being able to say no. There was one year that my dad had prostate surgery, so he needed to have someone look after him after the surgery. And so I flew out after Mother's Day. We had a Mother's Day concert in Wetaskiwin, and I flew out early the next morning, and was with him for about 3.5 weeks to just take care of business around the house and stuff, and watch him get a little stronger on his feet and everything. So that was good. Yeah. So no, it's been good.
Well, and my brother-in-law, he does Canada Post, and he works full time for it, but he just like, he gets up early, does it, and then he's home by like noon, and he's like, he's in
so he does.
though. So.
Yeah, so he's doing what I'm doing, kind of. He does like the sort type of thing in the morning and stuff like that.
He does his route, and then he's done for the day, sort of.
Oh wow! So he's one of these guys that knows his route so well that he doesn't even have to look at the case when he's throwing the letters in. I guess we've got people like that.
He's been doing it since he was in Edmonton, like Sherwood Park, Edmonton, and so then he got a transfer out to Penticton, and he was happy with that because he's from BC, so you know.
Yeah. No, we got some people that come in and they just like, they're so fast. It's amazing, you know. And then when I get thrown into their case, I'm like,
well, I mean, that's how it works, happens. Right? Yeah. You get used to it. It's just done.
Yeah. Anyway, it's okay. It's fine. But most of the time I'm working at 4:30 in the morning.
Right.
Doing this. The stuff comes from Edmonton, and we sort the stuff to the various walks, and then they come in and sort it, and then they sort that to their case, and then go and take it out. So
yeah, 4:30 would hurt my brain. I used to do stuff then, and I'm like, no thanks, not anymore. I'm a late night person now.
Yeah, that's my problem too, is that I am a late night person. So I'm like, I generally have to come back and have a nap afterwards.
Oh yeah.
You know, so yeah.
I drink coffee till like midnight, so that could be on.
I can't anymore. I can't. I'm telling you, if I have something too late in the afternoon, I'm so wired. Like, it's just all of a sudden I'll wake up at 2:00 and it's like, and I just can't get back to sleep. So.
Well, I mean, I hope if I ever get there, I'm gonna be so sad. But yeah, it's one of those things, you know. Even with the big band rehearsals, like if I was teaching going straight to big band, I'd be like, I need coffee, but I won't get it, so I'm gonna be tired by the end of this, and my head's gonna explode because there's so many crazy things going on.
Yeah.
So that's your like, you're a freelance musician then, and that's kind of your. Make sure that you can keep being a freelance musician. That's
my day job. Yeah, I guess if you want to call it that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm almost looking at some of that because I don't know what it's going to look like in the future for teaching. So, you know.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. No. I really feel it. It for especially people who have been doing private teaching. It's how do we get this done? And wind band instruction right now, there's a concern that schools are not going to start it up or try to figure out an alternative. You know.
Well, I don't, and you know, you look at like say the Charlie Killam band room. When you cram a bunch of kids in there with wind instruments, like you might have to split that or something, like cut the band count in half or something.
Oh yeah.
But that's why next week I have Marshall on, who I'll talk about later on in the thing before we go. But he's a band teacher, so I'll be able to talk to him a bit, see if he knows anything.
Yeah.
Because this is a concern across the board. I was talking to Eric Olson last night, and he was setting up some stuff at OLMP, some keyboards, but who knows where the program's going to go. I mean, keyboards are one thing, but like wind instruments is like... Augustana, like the U of A just canceled all their sports programs, like all of them for the year. So it's like, oh, okay. So no sports. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. So I'm thinking like I'm just assuming the choir won't go at Augustana. I'm personally not going to be teaching voice lessons unless they're online, until I can figure out a solution to that. But otherwise it's just, you know, you don't want to spit on people.
No.
But
no,
but it's true. Happen. Like singing, you're just like, you're trying to keep your vocal cords like wet and like gross, and just you're throwing out a lot of moisture. I mean, as much as Trudeau said it kind of disgustingly, like it works.
Moistly, yeah.
Yeah, it's what you do. You have to have moist vocal cords. That's how it works to sing properly, right? It's
yeah.
And the internet wrecked that word. That's not like Trudeau's problem. The internet wrecked that word years ago.
Oh yeah.
The internet wrecks everything. I was going to comment on when you said the kids, you talking about like your students saying, like commenting, oh, that's not how this teacher did it or whatever.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they'd probably say, well, Google says it's this way, so why aren't you doing it that way? I hate that. That's the worst thing. As a teacher, just like, okay, Google says one thing. I've been teaching for, 15 years or, and you're just like, yeah, you can only rely so much. I can help you with that information, but don't tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Don't tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
We'll work through the information. Okay. Because this is one thing Eric and I were talking about like last night about cadences. And we're just going into music theory. We're talking about the different types of cadences, like perfect authentic and imperfect authentic cadences, and just definition for that being different based on some different theory books. And you're just like, oh, who's right? Which theory book is right? RCM has one way of classifying imperfect versus, it's crazy. So, there's a lot more information than just one source. And that can say a lot of things for a lot of things across society. But
well, of course. Yeah. I mean, one of the things I've noticed is that I got involved with the Ed Sullivan show at Christmas time. And and Marshall said he loved this. I said, we had a lot of people from different notational backgrounds.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And some of us are reading notes. Some people are reading they're reading chord symbols. Some people some people are just memorizing everything. And some people are listening to, like, they've got YouTube on, and they're trying to through every break they're trying to absorb as much more as they can.
Right.
And wow. And you put that together to make a show,
right?
Like, wow, like that's really something,
Well, and it's interesting because this is one thing I always thought with, just speaking of notation, it's good to have all those skills, like what you're talking about. Read chords, read a chart, like actually read like the notes on a chart, be able to listen to and play back. Those are all, if you put all those skills together, you're going to be able to learn any song that's put in front of you. Like, that
is awesome, right?
Yeah. And I think it's important to have all of those. A lot of people ignore, I mean, as a band teacher, you know how to read music. I know how to read music, but a lot of people ignore reading music. I think it's important even just to know what the rhythms are and notice if the pitch is going up and down, just as a base level. But if you can learn the extended parts of that, it's really handy. Like, I can just, as much as reading guitar tabs, fine. I find it's easier for me to read, treble clef on guitar, way easier. It's just, I can pick it up faster.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
That might just be me, but.
Yeah. There was an episode of Jimmy Fallon where the Roots did something like, when they do freestyling with the Roots, when they do that, it's quite something. But what happened was, one time they had Bruce Springsteen and Steve Van Zandt were on, and they were talking about, a bunch of things. And they talked about this song called Wiggle Waggle.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then they went to break. And when they came back from break, Jimmy said, I want to show you, we don't usually do this, but I want to show you something. I want to show you us going to break. Because then they went to break and the band starts playing, and Springsteen and Van Zandt look over and they stand up and they go, hey, that's Wiggle Waggle. Like, how did you? And Questlove said, well, I just went on the internet and he listened to it, and somehow through the mic system to everybody, he used some kind of a shorthand to teach them the song, like to teach the song.
Yeah.
I mean, in like 2-3 minutes or whatever, and they just went in and just and nailed it. Like, enough that those guys were convinced. Right. I thought, wow, I want to know what they're doing. That's so cool.
Well, and that's do you know Jacob Collier? Have you heard of him.
Oh,
Seen it. Yeah.
oh, what an amazing guy. Yeah.
I kind of think of that sort of thing where he hears it, he knows what it is, and he can describe it. Like he just knows what he's hearing. He can say exactly what he's doing. And that sounds like that sort of thing too, where it's like if you know how to describe it to people and they know what you're saying as like a musician, they'll be able to play it back easy peasy. They have that technique, and they're just bam done. So and it also helps when you're part of the same ensemble. You get to know people and you be like, I know what they're gonna do. Talking about chord progressions, I might hear, you hit a chord and you're going to resolve it one way or another. I might hear, ascending, like going up in a chordal motion, but somebody else might hear it the other way. And so that's just, if you know somebody well enough, you'll know where they want to go with that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting, especially if you are playing a band with the same band, same people for years.
Yeah. For sure.
If the big band plays again, eventually, hopefully, and if you get a core group that lasts seasons, you'd probably have, somebody would do something silly and we all be like, ah, ha, 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 because we all know what's happening, right? We get to know that person because that's their style.
Yeah.
And I always like that idea of the camaraderie you might find in a band like that. Like the Roots have been playing, I don't even know how long, like forever.
Oh yeah. Oh, I would think so.
They have such connection. So good.
Yeah.
All right. So, you play trombone, you sing tenor.
Yeah.
I'm guessing as a music person you play piano.
Oh, not very well.
I don't.
Oh man, that's a skill I really need to work on. I will. I'm a person who's still trying to learn things and trying to develop things and all that, because like since I've retired, maybe you want to go through the origin story, because I think it might set this all up.
We got lots of time.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So anyway, I've been singing ever since I was a little tyke. So Sunday school and all that stuff, primary school, and then when I was 8, my dad asked me if I wanted to play bagpipes.
When you're 8.
Yeah. So there was a Boy Scout pipe band that had just started around that time. And so I was in Cubs.
Okay.
I guess I just started in Cubs. So anyway, I got into that band. I did that for about 10 years. So until I finished high school. So we were doing parades, we were doing competitions and stuff like that. We did a trip to Scotland.
Do you still play bagpipes?
I have my pipes here, but I have not played my pipes for a while. But my fingers are still. I have a lot of tunes because that's a lot of rote learning.
Right.
I still have the tunes in my fingers.
I'm just thinking that'd be funny to have a bagpipe solo in a big band, but okay, continue.
It could happen, but maybe not with me.
Oh, that'd be so good.
We'll see. And my big influence there was Archie Cairns. He was with the Air Force Band in Ottawa, and this guy, talk about someone who wants to learn things. He went to Scotland to take a pipe majors course there, and there was a pedagogy that they went through, and then he brought that pedagogy to us, and he said, okay, for everyone that wants to be at a certain level, these are the things you have to learn. Okay. And we had to go through an exam. We had to do stuff. And so I really appreciated that. And then there were times when he talked about the theory of orchestrating pipe tunes with the brass band for that type of thing. He says, because they'll harmonize it a certain way. And he started explaining to me how some were in D minor and some were in this key and all that. I'm thinking, wow. And now I do hear it, when I do that. And because one of the things that the pipe bands, when they compete, they have two categories. There's one that's called the March, Strathspey Reel, and that's a set that the March is definitely pretty straightforward. The Strathspey is kind of a Highland fling type style. Okay. And then the reel, of course, is a little more let go. And then they have a medley, and you can do anything in a medley. You can play anything that you want with a medley. You can stop. You can have things change in the middle of one song to another, and you can. And they work on stuff like keys, and they're experimenting with different pitch drums, like snares on, snares off, and playing in different harmonies with the pipes, and it's quite creative to see them do that. So anyway, that was kind of what I was doing there.
Well, and with that, was that kind of what, hearing all those like different sounds, was that part of where you, because you do a lot of arranging of tunes, right? Like you've done a bunch for all sorts of things. Is that kind of what got you into composing, sort of that sort of, or
and I actually, I composed a pipe tune when I was in high school for something that they had asked me. I was coming in to do a presentation, and I decided I'd write a pipe tune. And one of the things that Archie Cairns did was show us the formula for that a lot of pipe tunes use. So he, like, what he would do is he would have a little bracket over each 2-bar section, and so you'd have A, B, and then it probably would do A again, and then C.
Okay.
And then when you do the next section, it might be D, B, D, C. So you could see how familiar the parts were and how easy it was to memorize. So then I just reverse engineered and tried to write something that way.
Okay.
So
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, and also my high school teacher was into arranging. He always arranged. It was like Christmas. We waited for just that, like during Christmas, I think, or even before. He was writing something for the concert band.
Okay.
So I think one year it was the Johnny Mathis, woman, woman, he wrote that one. He did the Sound of Philadelphia, the boom, boom, da, da, ba-da-da-da-da, bum, bum, ba, bum, ba-da-dum. It was always fun. And his name is Pierre Vaillancourt, and so then he got us doing some arranging.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So we would take I think in grade 11 you got to take a Bach chorale, and you could figure out you took it and you arranged it for 4 instruments.
And what school was this?
This is Van Cleek Collegiate Institute in Eastern Ontario.
Okay, because that's interesting. That would be really interesting. Because I don't.
Yeah. So yeah,
we weren't doing any sort of Bach composition. Like I didn't do it until university. So like any harmony arrangements or anything. Well,
he if you took that was a new program. I think it started the year before I went into high school. There starts at grade 9.
Right.
So he had a vocal program and a small band program, and the vocal program was strong. Like you were like strong sight readers. Like if you couldn't, like by October, you could read anything basically. Easy stuff. He could throw an easy song at you, and you could sing it in parts.
Like just there it is, just bam. Here's your
starting
notes.
He'd say, okay, let's look at this. Okay, here are your first notes. Away we go, because we were doing a lot of solfege and stuff. I mean, it got to the point like you would take a look at a song, you would just go, okay, and you knew what it was going to sound like before you sang it.
That's
intense. And the guys in the band program, instrumental program, didn't get that.
Right.
So like I would walk in as a brass player and I'd say, I know exactly what it's going to sound like. And other people are trying to figure out with the register, like, am I too high? Am I too low or whatever, and
Oh, well, I mean, it's always important to have that ear training. Like that's huge. To know when you're off. It's like the thing says it's this note. It's like, that doesn't sound right. You're wrong.
Yeah. So, and so we excuse me, as we get a little higher up in the grades, part of our, we would do some warm up, but one of we would read about chorale.
Well,
So
I mean,
then,
it's not that
yeah.
that stuff isn't that crazy, but you know, comparatively to some stuff you could read,
Oh yeah.
like
Yeah.
chromatic harmonies and stuff, you're like, okay.
Yeah, he never got into anything too wild. But
No.
so
But
anyway,
that's
so
still-
yes, yeah.
That was
So
like what
I
grade? What did you start that then?
what the Bach chorales?
Yeah, like what grade would you be doing that ear training, that whole
Oh,
program?
right from the get go.
Wow. That's intense. That's
And I
really cool.
mean, later on, like grade 10 and 11, you're doing scales in thirds and in fourths and even up to sevenths, like singing
Yeah.
in sevenths.
Oof.
You know,
Oof.
yeah. Like it was really good. And I would say that those skills have helped me all the way through. That's what
Totally.
got me into uni. Actually, I think it really did. So yeah, so we're doing, yeah, the arranging. Then I did the Carpenters' Close to You. I did that
Okay.
as a writing for a full band.
Okay.
And of course, now we're not talking about having we didn't even have computers, right? So I mean, it's writing a score from scratch
Right.
and then extracting parts.
Yeah.
And trying to make it legible.
Well, like, because now you can score it out. It'll print the individual parts out. Like, you don't have to.
Oh yeah. It's just like, it's so easy, you know? And I mean, and when you're writing the parts, you have to think about it and then transpose. You're writing a transpose score right from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So it's not, it's not like you can write in a concert score and then just say, okay, now transpose it, and it does it for you, you know?
Well, that's exactly what the computer does. It's like you put the instrument in, it's like, yep, there's the notes. You're like, okay, perfect. You know,
I was just watching Jazz at Lincoln Center. They have essentially Ellington festival about this time of year, and they can't do it live.
Oh.
So they have, part of it is a composition competition, and so they played the winners composition online.
Okay.
And Ted Nash, who's the second alto player, is also a really great arranger and composer, and he's working through he says, I just wish this was a transpose score, because I'm just not used to looking at the saxophone parts being so low.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's where they sound, but where we see them is much higher,
right.
You know, and stuff. Yeah. So,
well, and for people, if they don't know, they're watching this, like every band instrument, essentially any instrument, will not necessarily be a C instrument. Like piano's a C instrument, guitar's a C instrument, but like saxophone, like alto saxophone, is an E flat instrument. So if piano's playing a C, saxophone plays an E flat to match pitch, that sort of thing. So
yeah, and it's up a 6, like it's up a 6 from where it plays. Yeah.
No, I used to have to transpose. Because I played baritone saxophone, and transposing some parts was interesting, from like a B flat to an E flat, and that's where I learned how to transpose on the fly sometimes too.
Yeah. So, excellent. Yeah. So anyway, when I was at VCI, in grade 10, we had a visiting clinician come in. It was the second clarinet player from the NAC Orchestra, National Arts Center, and he did a clinic with the band. And then I talked to him afterwards about a few things, went home and thought about it, came in the next morning and said to my teacher, I'm thinking of going into music.
Cool.
And he says, okay, what would be your major? And I said, what do you mean? He says, your major instrument. And I said, well, voice. And he says, oh no, your voice isn't good enough to get you into university, like a 15-year-old tenor. I mean, come on, you know. He says, you're going to have to pick up an instrument. So I'm already like a year and a bit behind everybody else that's doing this. And I can't transfer into a course in October. So he runs an adult night class, and I go in and I want to play trumpet. And he says, I've already got 3 trumpets. You're going to play trombone.
She's like, okay.
Oh yeah, it was basically okay. And so I'm trying to, and so anyway, I learned enough that he jumped me into second year, like I'm into grade 10, not grade 9, grade 10 band,
Okay.
and I'm in grade 11 vocals. So I'm doing that all the way through until I get to my final year, and then I'm doubling up on
Right.
I'm taking 2 band classes to 2 levels. And I'm not taking any private lessons. I mean, no one's taking private lessons. No one hears about private lessons except my my buddy, my guy who's my best man, went and started taking lessons with that clarinet player. And so I get to my last year of high school, and I just remembered his name, Ted Griffith. That's wonderful. He was the bass trombone player with the Montreal Symphony, and I took lessons every second week. My dad would drive me into Montreal, about an hour's drive. And it's one of the things I really appreciate about my dad is that he did stuff like that. It was kind of neat. But it wasn't, I was so far behind. I was really behind. But like I said, when I auditioned, everyone kept just saying, like, your ear is just so good. Like, you can hear things, like, it's just amazing. And the guy that auditioned me at Western, Chuck Dalkert, actually, it was like a lesson. It was amazing. He said, okay, so let's sight read this song here. Let's sight read. Go ahead. And I started going ta 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 ta. And he says, okay, first of all, Rob, he says, take a look at that. What does it say? How does it describe? What's in the title? What does it describe? It's an English folk song. Song, he says. It's a song. A song should be law. You know what I'm thinking? Oh wow, like this is such a different level, you know, and I'm so looking forward to studying with this guy, right? So when I get my acceptance, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be cool. I see him in September and he says, you're not on my list, you're on the other guy's list.
Wow.
And the other guy says, nah, you're not really up to snuff, and I don't know why you're here. And it was a tough slog.
Right.
And so I would say that's the reason I started taking lessons with Ken Reed many years later. That guy in 3 weeks had me sounding so good because he just pinpointed and said, this is what I want you to do to get, he says, you're having trouble getting the notes started right away. It's all in the articulation. And bang, all of a sudden my notes were much clearer. I had a better sound and all this. It was so cool.
Well, and I think this is one thing, I'm just going to go off that, but thinking about advantages being a private teacher, of having that teacher, even online, is to say you're doing it wrong. Essentially, that's what I think of when a teacher's like, you can learn as much as you want from YouTube these days or wherever.
Yeah.
Or self-taught, but then there's like a teacher will be like, you're actually doing your technique's wrong, something's wrong, and then they adjust it and then can send you on your merry way. And it's like, like there's such a difference that can be found there. So,
yeah. And okay, I'm not trying to be negative about this, but what I was hearing at university was it all came down to the amount of time that you spent on your horn, not what you did, but it was and I thought afterwards, it's like, oh my gosh, like, you know, like if you can, like, that's what I've learned from Ken is how to practice.
Yeah. That's important.
Isolate that problem part, slow it down. Don't go any faster until you can play it correctly, absolutely correctly, and then you can speed it up.
Well, and I mean, you can only repeat something so many times and you may never get it right because maybe there's just something subtle that needs to be changed about, you know, hand positioning, if it's guitar, or like the way your mouth is shaped or something.
Yeah.
And then it's like, bam, it can click, and you don't need 50 hours of practice. It was like 5 minutes of just correcting the problem from somebody who might know better. Because, you know, there's a definite, you say you're still learning about music. I think everybody in music should continue learning about music just because it's such a big thing. You get people, again, I'm going to mention again, Jacob Collier. He's insane. He's like, what, 20 something, and he's like above everyone. I don't know where his brain is with composing. It's just like
genius. I mean, yeah.
But not everybody's like that. Like he just I don't think anyone's like that. I can't watch him for too long because he's too hyper on stage. I'm just like, whoa, stop. I can't deal with this. but there's always so much to learn with music. You can get so far. There's my coffee beeping, if you can hear that. There's only so far you can go, though, right? Like there's you can focus on something and then maybe get stuck there. So maybe there's something else you can work on, like theory, jazz theory, something.
Yeah.
So I always think there's stuff you can practice. Just find that correcting can be handy too.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking at a few options in the next, well, because we're all isolated, I can't really go to a person for lessons, but some online lessons. Just I need to get some correcting on some drum things, and I'd like to do some double bass things, but I don't know who I'd go to for that, and that's a little more difficult. But it's harder.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you.
Anyway.
I don't think we're going to get through everybody that I want to acknowledge, but you talk about influences. That was one of the things. Okay, so one of the neat things that I got to do when I was in high school was, I really don't know how they did this. We would take a busload of kids to the National Arts Center to go and hear a concert. We would pay $1. So I don't know where the rest of that money came from. I'd really like to know where that came from, because I mean, we saw Duke Ellington, Buddy Rich a couple of times, Maynard Ferguson, Ray Charles. Yeah, we went to Place des Arts in Montreal and and my first orchestral one was the Berlioz Requiem. I mean, wow, it was fantastic. And I saw Luciano Pavarotti do a recital when he was, when he was still, well, he was kind of big, but he was still in his maybe in his late 30s, early 40s. So his voice was really, really in good shape at that point. It was just amazing. And but like people I would listen to, like Chicago, Blood, Sweat and Tears, Earth, Wind and Fire. So you're hearing like horns, Tower of Power, but then voices, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Three Dog Night. Like I really like the harmony. I guess that's where the and then in the jazz, of course, all that harmony, all the different voices and stuff. I think that's probably been a big influence for me.
Yeah, no, that's definitely like I love a solid set of vocal harmonies where it's like a good, and my big thing these days is having a horn section too. Like I like old school R&B, like old R&B, like James Brown and stuff.
Yeah.
It can get kind of crazy, but I don't know. There's the movie The Commitments, and then there's like stuff like that. I love that sort of stuff. And now R&B is just not the same.
Yeah. Oh no. Like Tower of Power, I'm amazed. Like they're celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Are they still playing?
Yes. They are.
Wow.
And some of the original guys are still. Emilio Castillo, who was one of the founders, and Doc Kupka, who's the Barry sax player. They've been with that band forever, and a couple of the other guys too. Like they have not changed personnel that much.
That's crazy. I mean, there are some bands I keep saying, like, why didn't they quit? Why didn't you quit? You should stop while you're ahead. But I don't.
Not these guys. And I mean, they're still playing the same sets. Like they do write a few new things now and then, but I mean, I don't get tired of listening to them. Like, what is hip? I just cannot. Yeah. I'll listen to that. I'll listen to that song forever, man. I mean, that is,
Totally.
Oh.
We're actually going to be running out of time. I'm just.
Yeah, I know.
I
know.
We have the choice. You can do your song, or we could just keep talking for a bit longer. I think that's the choice. So, do you want to do your song, or it's up to you?
It's so hard.
Or I'll just have to have you on for a part 2 sometime, and just.
Oh, if you want to do a part 2.
It might not be
sometime.
I have some, but we could do another one later and just.
Yeah. I mean, whenever we could do a part 2, we could carry on. I could play now then. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would just say part of what I'm doing I'm doing virtual lessons, but I'm also part of a virtual community called Jazzwire.
Jazzwire.
Jazzwire. Yeah. And it's a fellow by who was actually from Edmonton, Jeff Antoniuk. I saw him play as a high schooler and thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe a high school guy plays like
And
this.
is that jazzwire.net? Is that the?
That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah, and so this is the last song that we've been working on in my community. We're just going to start bluesette actually right now, but this one is "I Fall in Love Too Easily." It was a song that Frank Sinatra sang in Anchors Away, I think it was. He and Gene Kelly are buddies, and Sinatra falls in love with this girl, but she takes a shine to Kelly. And so in the scene is Kelly is going off to go and see the girl, and Sinatra sings this song as a quick ballad. So
Okay.
I'll do a little singing and just a little one chorus of improv, and I'm glad I'm doing it this short because we're running out of time. So I'm going to adjust my my screen too.
And I'll adjust you too.
I think that might work.
Yeah, it should be good. I can adjust you if need be.
See if these lips actually will do something at this time. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. I fall in love too terribly hard for love to ever last. My heart should be well schooled, 'cause I've been fooled in the past, and still I fall in love too easily. I fall in love too fast. Just call it there. So that's one of the things that I just wanted to really build up my my improv chops, because I really don't have a lot of language, you know, and all of that stuff that I put in there, those are all little licks that I've been, you know, some of it is I've gotten into my head, like the opening stuff actually is this new stuff I've added. The other stuff is all stuff I've been just acquiring, you know, as we're going along, and I just need to build up more so that I've got more of a palette to choose from.
Well, and that's what I found with improvising. It is like the more you do it, the better you feel. Like you have your little You create your melody in your head and you just put it to whatever instrument you're playing. In my brain, that's what I do. Like whether even when it's drums, it's like I don't just play a bunch of notes. I want specific, you know. And now we.
Sorry, now
That's
I'm
okay.
back to
That's okay. I was
The
adjusting
intimate.
it. But yeah, you get to adjust, based on what you're hearing, and then you can just control it a bit more and then you're also adding the human element if other people are playing. You can, go off what they're doing. And so the more you play, improvise with other people, especially.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things I'm hoping is that in the big band, especially like if I do a solo, maybe sometimes I want to leave space to see if somebody in the rhythm section, especially, picks up on something and does something, and we can go back and forth a little bit. I hope I can get to that point where we're doing that.
Right, and I think that takes rehearsal and getting to know people again. But one thing that would be fun is just with the Dixieland thing we were doing just before we got shut down. Having just a smaller combo even doesn't have to be huge.
Yeah.
But like when you have, say, rhythm section, like even just bass, drums, piano, and a few horns, then you can really, the less people you have in an ensemble, the more that they have to pick it up, right? So
like I mentioned before, like less people that have to share in the conversation. Yeah. A previous week, and I can talk about that another time too. But Phil Dwyer, I did a jazz combo camp a couple of years ago, and that was an interesting thing, was to work on that. And I do enjoy the combo. I mean, I would love to do more combo work. I think it'd be a lot more fun.
Well, it is fun, and like just playing in general is fun. But Eric and I may have cheated last night. We brought the piano out of storage and did a quick jam, and I just brought my guitar instead to jam with, because I don't play guitar that much, and it's something I need to work on probably more. But and it's just fun to play with people at this point.
Yeah. I want to build up. I want to build up a few arrangements just for a combo, and maybe try to work out some kind of informal, like if we have the book, then we can just I just say, hey, I'm thinking of this. Let's just get together and try this, and in a socially responsible manner.
Well, if everyone has the same, sheet music or whatever, it's like, here we go, let's go, and just do it. I mean, there's thoughts of, the gazebo jams we could spread out in that gazebo. There's a lot of room and we just even spread out into the grass if we have to.
Yes, exactly.
Like but
exactly.
Yeah, they don't have the piano out there, which makes sense. But Eric and I could bring the one we have or something. It's actually stayed in tune pretty well. But yeah, good job with the song. What song was that again?
I Fall in Love Too Easily. Yeah, and that's Sammy Kahn and Julie Stein. So I mean, like, those guys, like, they're great songwriters, and it's not a hard. You listen to the lyrics, it's not that hard. I mean, that's it for the song.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it's a great one if you're going to do a tune like in a combo, or someone could sing it, and then you've got people that can improv, do one or two choruses and share it around or whatever. It's a really nice little tune.
Right. Okay. So we're gonna close out here, because I mean, I'm assuming you could probably talk for another hour, right?
I think I could. Well, most people would say yes, he could.
Well, and there is actually a thought too, like as David mentioned, like having all the trombones on, and I wouldn't be opposed to having more group things like this.
Yeah.
But for now, it's like the one-on-one's nice. But yeah, definitely we'll have to do a part 2 sometime. A few people in a row, but it might look like later in the summer.
Yeah.
I'll throw it in there. Okay. But
yeah, because there's a bunch of people I'd like to thank for helping me get where I am, type of thing. But that's okay. We can talk about those people later.
Yeah, or you can just throw them on your Facebook page, like, this is what I missed, and then just have an essay of like, here's everyone I missed.
Yeah, yeah, I know, and I feel so bad, like I don't have any social media or anything underneath my page, because I just have not.
You've avoided the clutter. It's annoying.
Yeah. So far,
smart.
I mean, maybe it'll change, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, you're not missing much, so it's fine. So, thanks again, Robert, for being here. We'll definitely have to have you on another time. Just keep going. And if people do want to get in, like, are you doing virtual lessons?
I am available for virtual lessons. No problem at all. I could do that. They could, I could give my email, rob.d.macmillan, MacMillan @gmail.com.
Okay. And I'll put that in the description below, just so people get in touch with you. Or if you miss that, you can get directly in touch with me and I'll forward it on to Rob.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And yeah, is there anything else you want to say before we close out? Nothing?
Oh, there's too much I could say. So no, this has been so much fun. I like this. This has been great. So yeah,
it might be first thing in the morning, so maybe your mouth isn't feeling great for like singing or playing, but hopefully I had enough coffee beforehand to.
Sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. It's just, I think that's one of the things that Ken has taught me is that whatever the gig is, you have to just
go for it.
You have to go for it. You just have to say no excuses. You just have to get up there and just play,
I mean, the legitimate excuse you can use these days is it is through the internet. There's always going to be issues with the internet, so it's fine. That's the excuse you can always use. It's like, oh, that wasn't my voice. That was just the microphone picking something weird, and like that's what you make the excuse for. So thanks again, Rob. Next week, I have on another big band member, Marshall Tyndall, who is teaches out in Gwyn, and we're going to talk about what's going on maybe in the future with that. But yeah, he's a guy I've jammed with before, and we'll chat with him. And then, thanks again everyone for watching. If you want to help support the content you're seeing on my YouTube channel, you can head on to my Patreon thing, patreon.com/StephenHartmanMusic, where you get like exclusive videos and stuff that you're not seeing on my YouTube channel. And like and share all these things. And if you want to see more of these things, then let me know. If you want to sign up, you can get in touch with me through my email, my website. And if you want to be on the show, let me know.
Yep.
Otherwise, you look like
happy Father's Day, everyone.
Father's Day
tomorrow,
today? Tomorrow, okay.
Father's Day weekend, yeah.
Well, this is your excuse to go and get your father a present or get prepared a barbecue for him tomorrow. Yeah. So this is Stephen Hartman again, and Rob was my guest. Thanks again for coming, and see you next time.
Thanks. Peace out.